On the line with us this morning here on Indiana in the Morning, he is Indiana County District Attorney Bob Manzi, brought to us by Marcus & Mack, a law firm representing injured people. Mr. DA, good morning.
Good morning, Todd. How are you today?
Wonderful, and good to have you with us here today as we begin this new year and the first of your visits for us. So we've already had a pretty busy court week, haven't we?
Yeah, we've had a busy week. We have a busy year ahead of us. We have a great deal of cases scheduled for trial and for call, and we're ready to get rolling.
Have you caught up to all of that inventory that was left in the caseload because of the pandemic?
We were looking at our numbers, caseload numbers wide. We're pretty much there. We had hoped to get pretty caught up by the end of last year. Everybody in the justice system, the courts, the defense attorneys, our office, have been working very hard to get there. Mm-hmm. I think the only thing really left over, we do have a backlog in our cases that have been called for trial. Now, what I think is going to be happening, what has happened towards the end of last year, is there's just a lot of cases that a defendant will say, I want a trial in, just to kind of hold off the case finishing up. And then as we get close to a trial date, that's when they say, wait a second, I just need to enter a guilty plea and be done with this.
Yeah.
And I think as we have those dates coming up, we'll see more and more of that happening.
Yeah, you push those things down the road. There are some high-profile cases that have been tied up in the appellate court process for quite some time. And I know that as the general public outside looking at it, you'd like to see resolution come to these cases. Some homicide cases that have been in the courts for a number of years. And I think the slowness of the process is something that can be frustrating, but really it is really built into the system, isn't it, to make sure that everything is done thoroughly and correctly?
It is. And I understand the frustration. It's always been a frustration of the system is, the wheels of justice turn, although they turn slower than we'd like. When you have those appellate issues being handled, you want to make sure they're handled right, or else all you're going to do is get to a trial outcome and just have to do it all over again.
Yeah. One of the, or maybe not one, but several of those cases might actually involve you in an indirect way, in that they began when you were still in private practice, and now you're the district attorney. And I don't know that you've enumerated what those cases might be, but there could be some of those cases that have been in that system for so long that you might have to step away from those cases simply because of other involvement. You don't want there to be the appearance of a conflict of interest.
Yeah, and that's something that we handle on a daily basis, is under the rules of ethics for attorneys and under the law for district attorneys. You cannot handle a case in which there could be even an appearance of a conflict. So that if there's a case where maybe there's no direct conflict between me and what the outcome of a case I would hope it would be, you can't have even that appearance of a conflict. A great instance of that is the Nathaniel Price case, which is on appeal right now. Mm-hmm. In that case, an attorney who was in my private practice had represented it was court appointed to represent a co-defendant, and that case has been done for a long period of time. The law requires that I step away from that case. That case was turned over to the Attorney General's office, who are handling it in accordance with the law, just like our office would.
Yeah.
So again, those are necessary steps where even the appearance of a conflict, you want to make sure that, I follow the law. I step away from those cases. The law doesn't allow me to just have somebody else in my office handle it. The law requires I turn it over to the Attorney General's. Or else, again, what's going to happen is we'll get to the end of the case and we may have to do it all over again. Or you may have somebody in the public question the outcome of the case and say, well, how can he handle that case if there's this conflict? Mm-hmm. And it really takes away trust in the system. So if there's even the potential for that negative view of a conflict of interest. We have a really good relationship with the Attorney General's office. The staff there that we handle the conflicts with, they've been very open to me. They say, we'll take whatever case you need us to take. It's important that people believe in that system, and that, I'm not doing something in a case because I know a defendant or my private practice used to do something for them. That's why we turn those cases over.
Yeah, absolutely. And in that case, the Price case, you're talking about the Stevenson case. And that's an exemplar, too, because eventually all of these cases end up going, especially the major ones, they end up going before one appellate court or another, even if it's somebody coming back and saying, hey, I was misrepresented or ineffective counsel. And all of those things continue to just wend their way through the court system. It takes a while to get all of them done. Wanted to ask you about a couple of issues that have come up in this past week. A scam involving a young lady here in downtown Indiana. She was scammed out of about $6,800, and we're hearing all kinds of bulletins from the state police, the Zelle scams, and I know scams are one of those things that are troublesome and they're pesky, but it's really, really important to you that we get to the bottom of every single one of them if we can.
Oh, absolutely. And the scams become more and more sophisticated as time moves on. We're going out. So we scheduled time with the aging service with the senior centers throughout 2022, where members of my office, the state police, the local police are going to go to senior centers on a monthly basis, just update seniors on the scams that are happening. But it is important for everybody to know from 18 to 81 that there are scams out there targeting every individual. They'll mask in text messages and emails. They'll certainly look to be legitimate. And the problem is that once that money is gone, the chances of a person getting it back is slim. Typically, they don't get any money back. So it's important that each of us understand that, as we have those text messages being sent to us, and I know I get them on my phone all the time that say, hey, you have a gift card, or you need to respond to that. Click here. If you're not 100% sure of that site, you don't click anything. Mm-hmm. All of your accounts, all of your credit cards, they have 800 numbers you can call. Pull your card out, call the number, and make that ask, hey, is this legitimate? And chances are you'll find out you just saved yourself a world of trouble.
Yeah, and as you know, of course, you talked about the sophistication of people who are getting after you and getting after your accounts with these unemployment scams. People might not even know that they have been scammed until it gets to the point where it runs the real risk of costing them money or costing them benefits. And those identity theft things are really, really difficult to track down. So I know that you're working hard on that. I know that you're working hard as well on the drug trade in Indiana County, and you have made that an emphasis since you took office. Give us an update. What are your plans for this coming year, other than, Drug Task Force is still working hard?
Well, we're working, our Drug Task Force is working every day. We have our number. We are always asking for members of the community to provide us information. We are using money that is being seized from drug traffickers to purchase more and more technology and more items that are going to be able to help us. Cameras that are able to take pictures from long distances away and video cameras. We have efforts going on every day. As I said back in December, we did our roundup on one operation. That's not the only operation that we have going on. We have efforts with our federal partners out of Pittsburgh and Johnstown. We have efforts with the Attorney General's office. We have local efforts with the task force and various police departments. And what we're always asking is more and more information. And we're finding that more people, as they're seeing results, as they're seeing people getting arrested, are comfortable calling our office and calling our task force with that information. Once we have those targeted information, we're able to go out to areas of the county where maybe they don't see police officers as much, and they're seeing us out there. So we're really continuing those efforts. And then once we have the people charged in the courts, we're halfway there. We're not all the way there. An arrest does not make a case. That's when it's incumbent on my office to then prosecute that case and get a sentence that's going to put that drug dealer away in state prison. One of the things that, we always talk about is, the money and the effort in a single case. Well, I have a defendant who was sentenced to 5 to 10 years in state prison last year for dealing drugs, and it wasn't his first arrest. And what we looked at was the amount of crime that we stopped by that person being away for a 5 to 10, instead of a 2.5 to 5 or some sort of lesser charge, ended up saving the county money, because now that person is going to be away in state prison. They're not going to be committing the crime that they had been committing over years. So we're going to continue to target those individuals that just keep selling drugs in our county. They go to jail, they come out, and they go right back at it. The only thing that's going to stop them is lengthy state prison sentence.
Your District Attorney Bob Manzi is on the line with us here this morning on Indiana in the Morning. A couple of moments left with the DA. So we've entered a brand new year. You mentioned the Senior Citizens Centers visits and trying to protect them. Do you have other priorities that you have identified, areas that you want to pay special attention to in 2022, or things that people need to know?
Well, we're going to be, I'm working with our Drug Commission. We're working on a new diversion program for true first-time offenders. And the idea is going to be that true first-time offenders, when they get arrested, when they get charged for low-level nonviolent crime, they are identified quickly. We're talking about first listing for their preliminary hearings, where they can be sent to the Drug and Alcohol Commission, get an assessment, get right into treatment. The idea is if you have early intervention for drugs and alcohol issues, and we identify it early, not 6 months into a case, but a couple weeks into the case, they can earn a way out of a case and having it expunged as long as they get into treatment and then they complete the treatment. And the idea is hopefully these are individuals that we attack the problem very early into that issue, and we never see them back in the criminal justice system. So we're going to be rolling that program out here in January once we kind of work everything out with our state and federal funding agencies. Mm-hmm. So we're very hopeful of that, and we're going to continue with our mental health diversion. Last year we were able to bring in a boundary spanner who works law enforcement liaison with the Community Guidance Center to divert mental health cases out of the criminal justice system and into the mental health system where they belong. Yeah. We've had a lot of success with there, and we want to focus on addressing those mental health issues.
He is Indiana County District Attorney Bob Manzi joining us here this morning. Appreciate your time.
I appreciate your time, Todd.
Have a great day today.
You too, and happy 2022.
And to you. It's 25 minutes after 8 o'clock. It's the voice of Indiana County, WCCS, 101.1 FM and AM 1160. Here's the CBS Sports with Boomer. Sports with Boomer. Sports with